All right, everybody, welcome into the high noon edition of Pugs and Company. That's me, Pugs Moran. I am the Pugs in that equation. The company ain't around right now. I don't know where the company is. We got E the artist, who is my anything but straight man. He's not here yet. He hasn't. And I say that. And there he is, putting on the headphones. Let's bring him in. As I said, E, the artist, my anything but straight man, joining us today. This is the noon show. We call this High Noon. It's not a stoner reference, people. Just, it's not, you call it high noon because what? You guys get stoned and talk about. No. High noon because of Gary Cooper. Gary Cooper, high noon. I know I'm going back a little bit far for some of you younglings out there, but if you've never seen the movie High Noon, E, you ever seen High Noon? You know where that phrase High Noon comes from? Comes from the 1950s Gary Cooper movie, High Noon. Have you ever seen High Noon?
I have not seen the movie. I thought it was like we're going to have a gunfight at High Noon.
Yes, that's exactly what it is. Yeah, and that's where it comes from. Because in the film, Gary Cooper is a reluctant gunfighter. He doesn't want to, he don't want to be involved in this. Kind of like how I would be. But because he's Gary Cooper, I think we can guess how it turns out. Gary Cooper, High Noon. That's why it's a showdown. It's a showdown with me versus the day's trending topics. All the things that are trending on the multiple platforms, whether it be the social plats or the share plats, the Reddits, the YouTubes, the Facebooks, the Twitters, the Googles, whatever it is. We like to go through everything that anybody is talking about today and, just give you a little cheat sheet for what's happening. And my fear for you, the faithful listener here to the High Noon broadcast, is that you'll find yourself at a water cooler. An old Helen from Human Resources, she'll be standing there filling up her little plastic cup or her little plastic bottle with the Hinckley and Schmidt machine. Is that maybe what you have? I don't know. There's probably a couple other brands now. And she turns to you and says, "Hey, did you hear about?" And you don't have anything for her. And that's why we're here. We're going to give you everything that old Helen from Human Resources can throw at you. And we're going to give you a little cheat sheet so you can talk about everything and anything that's going on. E, let's get back to the High Noon thing first before we dive in, because quite honestly, this is not a great day for trending topics. It's a lot of, there's a lot of
my
really
fear for people is they get to the water cooler and they give them our opinions.
Well, that's not a bad thing. That's called being an influencer. And that's what digital distribution is all about. We're striving to be an influencer. Although I got to be honest with you, the third party here in the and company, would you make some of his hot takes yesterday concerning the things women couldn't do before 1971?
Seems like he's a little male oriented.
Seems like he might be channeling our grandfathers a little bit with his views on women, which, hey, we are in the era of Me Too. We are allies. I was raised by a single woman. I say that all the time because I think that nothing has informed my worldview more than being raised by a single mother. Having my father having passed when I was very young, and then having, as I always like to say, she taught me everything from how to treat a girl on a date to how to throw a football to how to bake a casserole. Everything, nothing that dad could have offered me was I missing out on because mom was there. So I've always been a bit of a feminist, what do you mean? Like, I remember, all right, we're going to talk about grandpas again, right? People who were, and again, when I talk about my grandpa, we're talking about the guy who stepped in and basically played the role of father when mom couldn't, because mom was a single mom. She worked a bunch of jobs. She was busting ass 24/7. So I had an absolutely incredible grandpa step in. However, his worldview was shaped by a childhood in the Depression and then a young adulthood in World War II. So it was a little bit different,
A little bit jaded.
I don't know if it was jaded, but certainly a man of his time. And I remember he was dying of cancer, and I had moved in with him to sort of help out with, because I was in my early mid-20s and I was working at the Loop at the time, and he just lived closer to the station and I was on mornings. So it made sense to cut down what would have been a 45-minute drive at 3 o'clock in the morning to a 20-minute drive. You know what I mean? So I moved in, helped him out, and I used to take him to his doctor's office, and the doctor came out to greet him at the doctor's office, and he went back, and it was, he had been of the generation where you have the same doctor for 50 years, right? But then,
Yeah, there wasn't really a specialist. There was just a doctor that lived in your neighborhood,
yeah,
and
and
he
he chain
became your
smoked.
doctor.
The doctor chain smoked in his office, and our doctor's office. You want to hear crazy? I remember going to this guy because I think he might even be the doctor who delivered me. I don't know, but he was like the family doctor, and he was a chain smoker, which I guess was perfectly acceptable inside an examination room in 1975. He was a chain smoker, but also his nurse had a dog, and the dog was in the office at all times. Now, at 4, 5, 6 years old, I thought that was wonderful that there was a dog, a mangy, and it wasn't even like it was like a mangy sheep dog with like gnats in its hair, and it was dirty.
Right?
And he's just, I'm getting examined, and the doctor's got a cigarette dangling out of his mouth, and the dog is roaming around. I mean, how would that fly today? How would
It wouldn't fly today.
no? I mean, you ran medical companies, you ran medical businesses where people came in to be examined and have tests done and all that. There was a rule, right, about mangy animals on the premises during medical
You know, I
examination.
I don't know that there was a rule specifically. I mean, I'm sure there was, but common sense would tell you that
Right? But
you're not going to have barnyard animals at the
no,
clinic,
and you
and
want a
even if
sterile
those are
environment.
dogs or cats.
Yeah,
Speaking of on point,
there's
there
our
we go.
yeah. We should explain. We do this show on the Radio Misfits Network, live from what I like to call the One Percenter compound in beautiful Highland Park, Texas. The artist, he is the master of the house, master of the property. He's over there in the big house, which is probably about 20, 30 yards away from where I'm located in the guest facilities where I've been living these past few months as I to decide whether or not I'm going to stay here for the rest of my life, which I'd like to, but that's a story for another time. There is a house dog. Her name is CeeLo, and she is a blue Merle, Louisiana Catahoula leopard dog, a breed I've never heard of before, but a
Was
breed
the
that,
state dog of Louisiana.
yeah. And Parker, who joins us for the and Company portion of Pugs and Company, he's in Louisiana, had never heard of this dog before, this dog breed.
Yeah.
So I didn't feel bad. It's an awesome dog breed. I'd never heard of it until a couple of months ago when Uncle E here adopted this dog and made her a part of the family here at the One Percenter compound. And I will be seeking out this breed of. I know you think I'm crazy because this dog is absolutely insane, but for my next breed, I will be seeking out this dog, this kind of dog. I absolutely love this dog. And as we explained, well, as we've explained numerous times on this show when talking about my dog niece, because that's what I call her, my dog. I'm not her master. She's my niece, my dog niece. She patrols the area in between the big house and the guest house here at the One Percenter compound, and anything in between is hers. she
For
doesn't want.
sure.
She,
And not even in between. Anything is hers in the house, the
yeah,
way she looks at it.
she has definitely become comfortable with her new environs. And what she does from time to time, though, is and she has a dog door in the big house, so she comes and goes as she pleases.
It is currently blocked on both sides. I put the slides in so she can't get through
Because
because
it's
today's pool day.
pool boy day. Yeah, the
And,
pool boy comes over, and she has already attempted to let the pool boy know that she doesn't appreciate him cleaning the pool once a week.
and the poor guy, he's deaf
Yeah,
and he has no idea that she's coming.
yeah.
And so, yeah.
That was
But
one of my
anyway,
that was one of my, we're in these crazy pandemic times, and that was a lot of bad experiences have been had by a lot of us, but one of the worst experiences of my last couple of years was a few weeks ago when the dog door was not secured, and the pool boy, who is, as we said, he's deaf and he's mute, right?
yes, both.
Okay. Where the pool boy was out there cleaning the pool. He had his back to the entrance of the house where the dog would come out, and CeeLo was going nuts. She was barking, and she was about 10 yards behind him, and he couldn't hear her. And she was just, you know how she gets when she gets aggressive when somebody's in her yard.
Yeah, it sounds like there's 3 dogs that she's barking, and it's only one.
Oh yeah, she's a fantastic watchdog. She's big. She's got the face. People would probably think she's a pit bull because she's got this she looks like a big, tall pit bull. Probably about what is she like the size of like a retriever, like a golden
Yeah,
retriever?
I think so. I think last time I had her weighed, she was about 65 pounds. So
Okay, and she's
yeah.
still a baby, so she's gonna fill out a little bit more as she gets bigger.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, it was horrifying. I was in the kitchen at the time of the big house, and I heard the dog barking, and then I realized that the pool guy was out there. And you want the pool guy to acknowledge the dog that's extremely angry in 10 yards behind him, but he couldn't because he doesn't hear. He didn't hear the dog. I was paralyzed in fear. I knew that my fat ass wasn't going to be able to cover the 30 yards of ground before she got to him if she tried, but I did. I did. I actually had to. She made her lunge at him. She got really close and she nipped the back of his shirt. She didn't nip him, but she like grabbed his shirt and then did that thing where they backpedal. Like, okay,
Mhm.
I'll let you know I'm here. And that's when he turned around and the look in his eyes was, I think he was about to jump in the pool. And that probably would have been his best move
For sure.
to jump in the pool because that dog ain't jumping in the pool.
She's not. She doesn't go in the pool willingly.
No.
We've thrown her in a few times.
So I just, I put my cup of coffee down and I just charged across the patio, across the pool area, and I tackled that dog and we rolled right into the giant 100-plus-year-old oak tree or pecan tree that's in the backyard. And then he turned around and he saw, and I had to pick her up. Seriously, it was horrifying because I was really, he's such a nice kid, he doesn't
Yeah.
deserve that garbage. That is on us as the homeowners to make sure that damn dog isn't out there when either, the landscaping crew comes on Thursday or Wednesday. So anyway, the dog door allows her free access to go wherever she wants. And she likes to come back and sleep on my back deck.
And she was never taught how to use the dog door. Like, I thought that would be a process.
Yeah.
And I mean, just boop through and back, and like, she doesn't care.
That dog is the most self-centered and self-assured dog I've ever seen. If it suits her needs, she doesn't have to learn it. She just instinctively will figure it out. And that dog door was sort of freedom to her. So what she does is in the middle of the night, by the way, she got out last night. She was barking at coyotes again in the back alleyway. She was going nuts at like 3:00 in the morning.
Yeah.
Except did you hear her last night?
I didn't hear her, but I when I went to bed right after the Pillow Talk edition, she was laying in her bed, and then she got up about 1 and she was off, and I just heard the dog doors.
Yeah.
And I assumed she was going out to maybe go to the bathroom, but not the case.
She does that. She goes out to the bathroom and then she comes out, and if she can't sleep, she'll like hang out in the big blue chair, the big blue recliner that I have out there on the back deck. And she likes it because she's higher up. It's a nice perch for her. She can oversee the entire property, Well, more importantly, she can oversee the back alleyway where, I've never seen people back there other than like electrical workers and stuff. But apparently there are coyotes in the neighborhood.
Yeah, we have
listen,
random coyote sightings. We also have raccoon sightings.
Yeah.
And what's the other one? Possum.
Yeah, and squirrels. She of course squirrels.
Yeah, she hates squirrels. Squirrels are her daily routine.
So she lays out there in the back there. But I also have a little garbage can back there, and this dog loves garbage. We had to hire you in the big house. You had to hide the garbage on her because you would.
Yeah, well, evidently that's where she was when they found her. They rescued her. She was kind of a street dog, and so I think that's where her love of trash comes.
Food.
She just feels like she's back in the mix.
I couldn't imagine her as a street dog. I couldn't imagine. I mean,
when they found her, she was a little puppy, and she was kind of living in the back of
somebody abandoned her
in an alley. Yeah, and she was eating out of a dumpster.
People are shit. That is garbage. That is
I'm glad to have her.
So last night she got into my garbage, and in my garbage was a whole bunch of spoiled mashed potatoes and some beans. refried beans that were in Ziploc bags. And she got into it. Just before we went on for the Pillow Talk edition last night at 10 o'clock, I heard the garbage can go over, and I'm like, oh man, she's out there. And sure as hell, as soon as the show ended, I went out there and I had to clean up all of my garbage that was strewn. There was a McDonald's bag torn to pieces. Like she thought there was something in there. So she tore that to pieces, so I had to clean all of that up. And I was wondering if maybe last night when she found herself back here at like 3 o'clock in the morning, if she was experiencing the diarrhea that I had predicted from the can of spoiled beans and mashed potatoes that she wolfed down.
Yeah, or she was going through what Mason went through from the beans that you thought possibly.
Yeah, a little stomach ache. Because once again, my son opened a can of refried beans and just started eating them with a spoon and then got sick. Even though people are saying that's not why he got sick, he did actually get sick. So, okay, so it's good to see it. She sounds like she's all right. She says she's barking. The pool guy must be here. That's probably why she was barking, right?
Right. No, that's what I'm assuming is going on right now.
So James Parker's going to join us as he does from time to time. He's going to pop in here at some point. He called me and he said, "Hey, I want to do the topic show today at noon."
Let me go shut the door.
Pool guy's here. That's her. That's CeeLo. I'm serious. We joke about her. We joke about what a pain in the ass she is. But if your prerequisite for a dog is that the dog must have character and personality, this dog has more character and more personality. She is definitely not. She's also, there's one more thing that I'll say about this amazing dog that we have here on the property. She is my son pointed this out, and he's only had a couple of dogs in his life. He's only been familiar with, he's only 12 years old, so he doesn't have the vast experience. He pointed out, he said, this dog is the most snuggly dog on the planet. If this dog, first of all, she's big, so, it's a little uncomfortable. But if this dog has an opportunity to snuggle in with you, whether you're on a chair or on the couch, she takes it.
For sure. Yeah, I don't. Like, it's kind of weird. Like, she goes from being the beast that's roaming the yard
yes.
to then she comes in and her demeanor changes entirely if she gets up on the couch, and she'll just sit right next to you and snuggle in.
She
to
acts
the
like
point where she lays over top of you, you can't get up.
Yeah. Or if you let her on the bed, which unfortunately my son has turned her into a bed dog over here at the guest house, she will find the worst place for the dog to be on the bed. If other people are going to judge, she will lay horizontally in the very middle of the bed so that nobody, and then will refuse to get up.
Yep, she's like a rock.
Yes. All right, so it's good to know that she's not sick, because I was worried that she was sick, and I thought that maybe the reason she was patrolling the yard at 3 o'clock in the morning was because she had a bit of the shits, which, would have come after the potatoes and bean consumption that she had. So James Parker down in New Orleans wanted to join us today. And I said, "You're going to be there at the top of the show. What do you want to do? You want to just jump in? I'll send you a link. You can jump in whenever you want." And he goes, "Yeah, my wife is coming home at noon and we're going to have sex. So probably about 1 o'clock. Like, oh, okay.
Penciled that in on the calendar.
Yeah. And all I could think of, are they going to eat lunch and then have sex? Because that is not something that I would be into. If I'm going to have sex with you in the middle of the day, which has never really been a thing for me, if you were going to have sex in the middle of the day, it would have to be after you eat, or before you.
As a nooner.
What?
Come home for lunch.
Yeah, I've never been a swinger. Never been in that swinger sexy lifestyle where that was ever an option. And I've dated girls who were semi-exhibitionists who wanted to do it in semi-private locations, like in the woods and stuff. And nah, not for me, man. No, it's got to be in a bed. Look, I don't mean to undersell my sexual prowess, because there really is none to speak of. But yeah, that's not for me. That's at noontime. No, it's got to be dark out. Although, unless you're on vacation, I think it's all right if you're on vacation. I think then the rules don't apply. So yeah, so James, we're going to check in with him, and since she came home at noon, I guess we'll be able to judge how involved the sexual afternoon matinee has been by the time.
I'll leave the judging to you.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I really can't judge. Like I said, I'm the furthest thing from a sexual being these
So
days.
so really slow trending today, huh?
Yeah, not a lot of good things trending, but we might as well jump into it, huh? Let's I'll tell you what, just because we should do it this way. Let me pull up all right, Dollar Tree is trending. The Dollar Tree. All right. Are you familiar with the Dollar Tree? Do you understand the breakdown in the dollar store pecking order?
Dollar Tree, I think, is one that you refer to as your favorite.
It's the best. Dollar Tree is by far the best. Family Dollar sucks. Dollar General sucks. Family 98-cent stores, they're all right, but Dollar Tree is the greatest. And I'll tell you why Dollar Tree is the greatest. Dollar Tree, their whole bit, unlike Family Dollar or the dollar store or whatever these myriad of other dollar offering stores are, Dollar Tree actually stands by everything's a dollar. Everything's a dollar. Now you would think, oh, there must be just garbage selection. No, Dollar Tree has an incredible selection, and I especially for cleaning stuff. Like if any day of the week, anytime, it doesn't matter during business hours. If you walk into a Dollar Tree, there will be a bunch of Hispanic cleaning ladies just stocking up on all the cleaning materials because they have stuff that like you would buy at the I almost said the Jewel. I almost gave my Midwest roots out there. But you'd go to Kroger or Tom Thumb or maybe a CVS, and you'd have to pay $3-4 for something. You get the exact same amount at Dollar Tree for Dollar Tree for $1. So that was the attraction. I'll give you an example.
So you do the math and you calculate the amount of ounces for the price that you're spending, and you're sure that at Dollar Tree you're getting it cheaper per ounce, or are they just giving you a smaller packaging?
No, it's the exact same packaging. It's the same size. If you were to go and buy like a bottle of Fantastic for, $4 at the Tom Thumb, you get the exact same size bottle of a comparable cleaning fluid. They don't have the brand names. They have, the
Okay.
off brand names. And they have a lot of like Mexican candy and stuff like that for $1, like stuff that you can't get here that's, apparently good because it's real sugar and stuff. So my kid loves the Dollar Tree, and we have this thing that we do. Well, primarily because I'm broke, but also I will pick him up, and then we will stop at a Dollar Tree near his house, and he will be able to load up on his snacks for the weekend. Whether he wants his power drinks, he loves the power drinks there. He'll buy like I think of potato chips for $1 where it would be $3 anywhere else. He likes the Takis, you know. So what I like about it is that we walk in, I give him $10. I go, that's it, that's your limit, and he comes out with a haul, like a haul of stuff.
Well, at $10, he comes out with 10 different things.
Yeah, or at least 9. I think we do make an
Oh, the
allowance
tax?
for
They make you,
taxes and
yeah,
all that.
okay.
But yeah, so I love the Dollar Tree, and the Dollar Tree is by far in the pecking. I've been to them all, been on a budget for a while, been to them all. The Dollar Tree is the superior dollar store. As a matter of fact, for one of the first things I did when I moved back down here was I said Dollar Tree near me. Just because I needed to look because here in the Highland Park area, there's not really.
I think we got a Dollar General, right?
Yeah, and that sucks. We got a Dollar General. We got a Family Dollar. There's a family.
There's a Family Dollar. Is that the orange logo?
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's the one
okay.
over by Fuzzies. You know where
Yeah,
Fuzzies
so
is in
that's
the
a
Health Club?
Family Dollar. Okay.
Yeah,
You don't like that?
no, those stores, at least that one that we have in this neighborhood, is a little, as the kids say, ghetto. It's a little bit, it's dirty.
Well, that corner is kind of a little rough with
Yeah,
that
but Fuzzies
Popeyes
is great.
chicken
Yeah, but that's on the other side. That
and the
strip mall's not
donut shop and the convenience store.
bad. By the
Like,
over by the airport there.
yeah,
Yeah,
I think that whole corner's a little bit sketchy.
it is very sketchy. Yeah.
Yeah.
But that particular, and I don't know if it's a Family Dollar or a dollar store or whatever it is, but it's a little bit. Everything's always thrown around, and because of the liquor store across the street and the sketchy donut shop and the Popeyes chicken, there's always some unsavory types lingering out in front.
Well, at one point, that was like last year. I think it was 2020. Somebody backed a truck into the front doors, and they unloaded a bunch of stuff from, like, they robbed it. They just like backed in.
Who Who the hell's gonna rob a dollar store?
Well, somebody that wants to get a lot of stuff for a buck without paying, I guess. I don't know, but
At
they
least
did that, and then they had the windows were all boarded up, and then they did it again. And so yeah, it happened twice.
so, Adam Reyna suggests, he says, if you're on a budget, Pugs, you should shop at Kroger, far cheaper than Tom Thumb. There's one at Wycliffe and Cedar that I used to see Jagger at quite a bit. Jagger, yeah, the one over there in the neighborhood, that's the Kroger that I would go to. There's
Yeah,
another
that's my Kroger. I go there.
Now I went to the other Kroger, and I determined that it was a little bit closer. The Kroger that's on Maple and Medical District.
No, that's not closer.
Are you certain?
Yeah, I'm certain.
It felt like
It's
it was.
bigger.
It is bigger.
It's got
Yeah.
a wider selection, but I
Yeah.
don't think it's closer.
Yeah. That's the one I typically go to. But I have to tell you, Adam, I disagree with you. You say you're on a budget. Now, I'm no big supporter of the Tom Thumb, but we have a Tom Thumb at University in Inwood. Is that where it is? University in Inwood, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and then we got one on Oaklawn too.
Oh, I didn't know about that
A
one.
little tiny one.
Oh, yes, I have. I've been to that one. That one sucks. That one is really bad. It's so tiny. There's like nothing there.
So you're gonna say that you think Tom Thumb is cheaper than Kroger?
For one, yeah, I'm gonna make one specific exception. I certainly do agree that Kroger is en masse much cheaper, penny for penny than the Tom Thumb.
I agree.
But the Tom Thumb at University in Inwood has this day. It's daily now. I thought it was only like once a week. But if you like meat, especially if you look at our freezer, how many pork chops and chicken breasts do we have? They have a deal at the Tom Thumb. Buy one, get two free. Kroger only has buy one, get one free. Tom Thumb has buy one, get two free. And I load up on pork chops. I can buy regularly $35 worth of pork chops for $11 because you're only paying for one package and then you get the other two. So for that reason, I will always stay loyal to that Tom Thumb. The meat is the most important thing. Yes, you might save a little bit of money on cookies or, whatever, but meat is the expensive thing. And, you got to have your proteins. So I stock up. I go over there at least once a week and I buy like 6 things of pork chops and only pay for 2 of them. And then I have, and they're really good. They're not like garbage, and it's not like, soon to be spoiled meat. But that's the only exception that I would give to Adam on why I go to that Tom Thumb. It's for the meat. It's totally for the meat.
Yeah, they don't really have those specials at the Kroger over there on Wycliffe.
Well, they do. They have buy one, get one free.
Yeah, but I haven't seen like you were saying, the double and the triple. Yeah, it seems like it's more when I see you come home with it, it's always from Tom Thumb.
Yeah, that's the deal maker. And if I go to Tom Thumb, it's because it's time to buy meat.
So have you been to the Five and Below?
I have. I love Five Below. Love Five Below.
That just stretches your budget. What did it say? Give you a bigger quantity for $5?
No, it's sort of it's a different kind of store. Like Dollar Tree, you can go there and you can get food, you can get cleaning supplies, you can buy socks, hats, they got everything. Folding chairs, all of basically it's like a Walmart. It's just a smaller scale Walmart where everything's $1, where you can buy, crappy when my kid was little, we used to go there and we'd buy a whole bunch of toys for like $1, and he'd get 50 army men for $1. That's pretty good for a 4-year-old. A 4-year-old likes that, right?
That they're gonna break them the next day anyway, even if they're the expensive version. It's still getting busted.
Well, the army men, we still have like a huge. I've got a big box of army men. He's probably got thousands of them because we used to buy them.
The army men that are in Toy Story, those green ones.
Yeah, the little good. Those you can't really make them cheaper. They're just molded plastic.
They are what they are. Been that way for years.
And they have like off-brand Hot Wheel cars. They're a little cheaper. The wheels come off on the little.
They're called Wheels Hot.
Yeah, exactly. Something like that. Yeah.
Right.
But Five Below is different in that they don't really have food. They've got candy. They've got a candy section. But I use Five Below I used to buy my headphones there. You could get a really cool pair of Sony or headphones, earbuds kind of a deal. Chargers. Although if you're going to buy a charger at one of these stores, just be prepared to try it in the parking lot before you pull away, because you're probably going to have to return it because it's about 4 out of 10 don't work. That's why they're being sold for $3, you know. But it's okay, you know. If you just keep trying, it might take a couple of visits. They have interesting toys. They've just like knickknacks and T-shirts. Five Below is not food oriented, whereas Dollar Tree for me is more
I
like.
saw one up on, I think it was like on Northwest Highway up there by Skillman, kind
Yeah,
of next to that academy. That's the only one I'm aware of.
Five Belows are fun. They're fun stores. They're clean. They look like a mall store. They got cool lighting. You know, they look more like, you know how there's a slight different in presentation between Walmart and Target. You know how Target's a little bit flashier, a little bit cleaner, more
Mm-hmm.
neon, you know, more trendy kind of thing going on at Target than there is at Walmart. That's what Five Below is. Five Below's kind of got this like trendy, because there's music playing when you walk in, as opposed to a Dollar Tree, which is just you and a bunch of Hispanic cleaning ladies. But hey, you know, when you're looking for frozen vegetables for $1, that's where I would go. So why is Dollar Tree trending? Dollar Tree is trending because they are putting an arrow directly in my heart. Dollar Tree has announced that the thing that made them superior to all the other places is soon to be forgotten. They are moving away from the everything is a dollar model, and they are going to start raising prices to $1.25, $1.50 on certain items. They promise that they will still have the bulk of their merchandise available to the public for $1. But because of the pandemic and shipping costs and blah, 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 they're going to move up on some things to $1.25. Now, what I like a lot about the Dollar Tree is I buy aspirin, ibuprofen, Tylenol, all that stuff. I stock up on that stuff. I stock up on cleaning supplies, and all that stuff is $1. All that stuff is like 400% cheaper than if you were to go somewhere else. Now, granted, I bought some over-the-counter Dollar Tree allergy medication and almost died live during a stream because I took too much.
Well,
It made me pass out.
aren't they like in a tough spot though? Like, okay, if it's priced and it's over $1 and they need to sell it for a profit, they have to raise the price. They can't very well open up the packaging and take some out.
I understand the realities of the world I live in. I'm just upset that I'm not going to be able to say, all right, I got $10. I can get 9 things. That was always fun to know. That was always,
You maybe go in there and find a customer and share.
yeah.
Like, hey, this is $1.25. I got anybody want to go in with me?
Nah, I don't want to. I don't look like I'm not an elitist or anything, but I don't want to share anything with people I run into at the Dollar Tree. They're all underachievers like me. I want to. If I'm going to share, it'll be with somebody at a mall store. Adam also brings up another interesting. This is how involved in the whole dollar merchandise store world I am. Adam has brought up Daiso, which I'm not even sure if that's the correct pronunciation. But Daiso is a Japanese chain of Dollar Tree type stores. And there are a number of them here in the Dallas Metroplex. The one that we go to, because my son and I have certain, please, you're going to tell me, that sounds exciting. You mean it's a Dollar Tree, but it's all Japanese products? Well, those people seem okay. It's not like this is Kazakhstan Dollar Tree. You know, I mean, the Japanese people seem to be fairly normal.
Are these food oriented?
Well, here's what Adam says. Adam says Daiso is a fun store for interesting finds. It's a Japanese dollar store, but most of the stuff is $1.50 to $4.50. That's true. Everything is not $1 the way it is, but it is another discount. Well, I mean, you know the origin of the dollar store. The dollar store isn't just a new thing within the last 30 years of American consumer shopping. They used to have dime stores. Remember dime stores? Our
Yeah,
grandparents.
the 5 and dime.
Yeah, our grandparents. Well, that was the precursor to what we now know as the dollar store, except that was in the 1940s and 50s when things, when the buying power of a dime was equal to a modern day buying power of $1. So Daiso is strikes me as a Japanese version of a classic dime store, I don't know if you had Ben Franklin stores where you grew up, but
I don't remember those.
Ben Franklin was a because isn't Ben Franklin on like the nickel or something like that? I don't know, whatever it is. The Ben Franklin stores. My son and I went to Daiso. There's one up in Plano, just north of where he lives, and we were very excited because, as seemingly with every 12 to 18-year-old child in America, obsessed with Asian culture. Obsessed with it. So when I told him it was a Japanese dollar store, he was like, "Oh, cool." But here's the problem I had with it. Everything there is unrecognizable. Everything there is the packaging and the labeling all has, Japanese writing on it. And then there has to be a tag or a label on the shelf that says in English what it is that you're buying. It's like,
Right.
oh, so this is like a Japanese Twix bar. Okay, I get it. It's the same thing. So he stocked up on a whole bunch of like Japanese candy and snacks and all that stuff. Adam says they have interesting finds. They really do. They have something there at the Daiso store that would be worth the trip alone. They have a snack called shrimp chips. Shrimp chips.
That
They
doesn't
are,
sound too appealing to me.
I don't know what they are. I don't know if it's just boiled down shrimp lard turned into a chip or whatever, or if it's just a potato chip with an Asian leaning flavor, for the Japanese palate.
Like
But
it's the seafood version of a pork rind.
it is the seafood. That is exactly what it is. It is the seafood. And dude, they are delicious. They are really good. So yes, you can find interesting things at Daiso. Although I didn't like the overall selection. Like, what is with the Japanese obsession with kitty cats?
Well, they eat them.
No, they don't. No, they don't. They don't eat cats.
They do. In
No, they don't.
Asian markets, they eat cats.
Okay, Asian markets, but Asian is like a huge part of the world.
Well, I don't
think they
know.
eat
I'm not quite sure.
No,
Like,
this is why we have Google. This is
okay,
figure out. This is sounds like something that Google could answer.
while you're doing it, check on dogs.
Hold on. Do the Japanese eat cats? Let's see what Google says.
According to Wikipedia, in Japan, cats were sometimes eaten until the end of the Edo period. In Okinawa, it is believed to be effective against costochondritis, bronchitis, lung disease, and hemorrhoids, and was eaten in the form of a soup, such as Maya no Yushiro.
All right, that doesn't tell me anything because I don't know when the Endo period was. It says in Japan they ate cats. I mean, if that was like the Stone Age.
Check on dogs.
Hold on. Now I'm falling down a Google hole. I got to find out when the Endo period was. In Japan, when was the Endo period?
Wasn't it a form of a bike?
Yeah, I don't know. It doesn't say. What does Endo mean? When did she? Oh, Endo was I guess Shashuku Endo was a Japanese. What? This is telling me nothing. This is telling me. All right, we're not going to get an answer for this because we're trying to do a live stream and it's not that important. But okay, apparently you were correct. They eat cats in Japan at some point in their long history as a world participant. They ate cats. You want to know about dogs now? Is that real?
Yeah.
I just saw something in Korea that it was trending a couple of days ago. We didn't get to it, but it was one of the things that I wanted to mention. Where in South Korea, which we've been talking a lot about lately because of Squid Game, we'll get to that in a second. In South Korea, they just made it illegal to eat dogs or to serve dogs in South Korea. And the prime minister or president or king or chairman, whatever the hell they call the person who runs, I think it's president, person who runs the show in South Korea, he made a statement that simply said, "Isn't it time we stop eating man's best friend?" I think it is. I think we are well past time. All right, so let's see.
So according to the chat room, thanks to Jeff Glenn, Endo period was from 1603 to 1867.
Okay, so they haven't commonly eaten cats in the last couple 100 years.
But still got some of Grandma's recipes around, though, I bet.
Oh, Yeah, Do they eat dogs in Asia?
Yes, that I know they do.
Okay. Oh, this is interesting. We started out talking about Dollar Tree. This is the classic example of chasing rabbits, but that's a radio programming term. But hey, this is my stream. We have no commercials. I'll chase all the rabbits I want. All right. So let's see what these other countries where they still
We're learning things for the water cooler.
We absolutely are.
It doesn't have to be trending. We can make our own trending topics.
That's right. You show up at the water cooler with some fun facts about countries that eat dogs. You're going to be the hit of the office that day. People will be repeating that stuff at dinner tonight. Hey, did you know that in
In the Endo period in Japan, from 1603 to
They ate cats.
1867, they ate cats.
And they thought it was good for your lungs, and they served it in soup. The new Animal Protection Act will see anyone selling, eating, or buying the animals for consumption facing fines of $6,000. This is about the South Korea thing. And Taiwan also has recently. Taiwan is the first Asian country to crack down on the practice. The new law tackles. All right. So what about the rest of the continent? Where are the countries where they eat dogs? China.
Hong Kong. I remember.
Dude, there is a picture that accompanies this story of a market in China, and there is a dude holding the most adorable little puppy up by the back of his neck, seeming to offer it to a person to eat.
Yeah, no, that was the hard part of going to the market, was like watching the things happen that you were like, wow, really?
So you've been to one of those wet markets in Asia?
Yeah, in Hong Kong in 2000.
Oof. Did you wear a full body condom? I mean, that
it
seems
stunk,
like,
man, it's like I just like nothing. Like I wouldn't eat anything that came out of there because of the stench.
dude, I went to a street market in Manhattan and it stunk. So I couldn't imagine what it's like in, some suburb of Kaixing. China. Although accurate figures are difficult to obtain, China is believed to be responsible for the majority of global cases of cat and dog slaughter. Each year, around 4 million cats and 10 million dogs are believed to be slaughtered in the country. The tradition of eating dogs dates back thousands of years, even though they are often kept as pets. I don't like that. South Korea. In South Korea, dog meat dishes are so common that they have their own name, Gaegogi. The country has an estimated 17,000 dog farms, according to the Humane Society, where animals are routinely prepared for human consumption. However, similar to other countries, pressure from welfare groups is having an impact. This story is from 2 years ago. Just in the last couple of days, South Korea has outlawed the serving of dogs as food. Vietnam, I figure all bets are off in Vietnam. Vietnam, they eat dogs. They probably don't even apologize for it.
Well, you would think with South Korea becoming more mainstream, I mean, like
Right.
with their movies and their boy bands and things like that, pressure is probably getting ramped up on them.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we've been discussing for the last couple of days about the cultural impact that South Korea is currently having on Western culture. I mean, every kid loves the South Korean boy bands. We had the movie Parasite that won the best Oscar, shocking the world, a couple of years ago. That was a South Korean film. And just yesterday, we were talking about the new Netflix series Squid Game, which is number one on Netflix. And Netflix is... Netflix believes that it will eventually, in short order, become the most watched series in the English-speaking countries, the most watched series in the English-speaking countries that they've ever offered. That's how we got. Dollar Tree is no longer selling everything for $1. That's how we bring it all back home.
All right, we made full circle.
However, with that, we do need to effortlessly segue into the next conversation because it is trending again today. Squid Game. Squid Game on Netflix, which is a series that we talked about yesterday when it was trending, and it's still trending today because I guess more and more people have been discovering it over the last couple of days. Squid Game is a South Korean TV series that debuted on Netflix last Friday, and it immediately began to rocket up the charts. You have watched probably 3 television series in your entire life. And
this one's been added to that list.
So
I'm
now
not through it at all, but I got through Red Light, Green Light, which is the first series.
Yeah. So
first of the mini series.
Before the 10 o'clock show last night, you watched Red Light, Green Light, which was episode 1 of Squid Game.
Now, I have questions. Like I went to bed thinking about like the whole thing, and I woke up this morning. I'm like, okay, I'm going to get into number 2. Have you seen Red Light, Green Light?
I watched Red Light, Green Light based on your recommendation yesterday after the show, before I went to sleep. And I also watched episode 2, Hell, last night, because as soon as Red Light, Green Light ended, I was like, oh, hell no, I'm staying up all night. I'm going to watch every single one of these. This is absolutely insane.
It is. It's insane.
Let me give people an idea. You formulate your thoughts, and then maybe I can answer the questions. Because did you not watch another episode?
I have not watched the second episode yet. I know I started out to do that yesterday, but it had some things come up, and so I didn't do it after the show. But I am going to do it tonight.
I plan on after the show today. I was complaining about how I don't have anything to do after the show other than worry about my future. And I need to find some kind of distraction. And I do not like to watch television shows during the middle of the day because that just makes me want to kill myself. But this one, I'm definitely going to not between 2:00 when we end this show and 8:00 when we begin Pillow Talk. I will at least watch one more episode of it. I have seen episode 1, which is Red Light, Green Light, and I've seen episode 2, which is Hell. Here's the premise. People in South Korea who have insurmountable debts, people who have, run up credit cards, they're losing their houses, they're losing their businesses, people who are on the run from the law for fraud schemes and all of that, degenerate gamblers who are being chased by mob guys. These are the people who are recruited for a game show in South Korea. It's like a secret. I still don't know what the deal is. I don't even know if it's televised yet. I don't know what's going on here. If it's just a crazy rich guy that is doing all of this for his own amusement, or if this is something that other people can watch because it's highly illegal. It's basically like the premise of Running Man, where it's a game show where death is a real option. It's if you either win.
It's a very real option.
And they never say death. I've noticed in 2 episodes, they never say death.
Yeah, you will be eliminated.
Yes, you will be eliminated. And all of these people sign up to play this game because they're promised that if they win, they will receive what is the equivalent in American dollars of $27 million. Now, were you thrown off by that? Because the exchange rate, I had to pull up the South Korean to dollar exchange thing while I was watching just to figure out what kind of money we're talking about. Like, because remember, everything was like, oh, that's 100 won. That's 10,000.
Or 100,000 when he was playing the red, blue, whatever game that was in order to get chosen for the game.
So 100,000 won is $100.
Really?
Yes, that's the rate of exchange.
So they were playing for $100 every time they were throwing those cards down.
Yeah. With the guy who recruited him, the recruiter for the Squid Game. We don't want to give away too much because you really got to watch this show, and it is dubbed. It is, it's a lot of that, like the old Godzilla movies.
Yeah, just don't pay attention to their mouth. Like, look at it's.
It is dazzling. The production values in this show is it ain't, a guy in a rubber suit dressed as Godzilla beating up a giant guy in a monkey suit over some model of downtown Tokyo. It is not. It is this is Star Wars, mind-blowing. This is Avatar. This is crazy good special effects and production values. It doesn't look cheap at all. And you're really not. I thought I was going to be distracted. Like in the first 10 minutes, the main character, I didn't like that guy at all. I thought that guy, I'm like, oh, okay, I already hate this guy. This is going to be hard. And then it was, the lips didn't match the words that they were talking about, and that was a bit distracting. But boy, oh boy, in short order did I forget about all of that. And I was like, I am in, baby. I am in.
Yeah, he's not my favorite character either, but yeah, you're in.
Who's your favorite character? I'll tell you already my favorite character in Squid Game.
The chick.
Yeah, she's pretty cool. The pickpocket.
Yep.
Yeah, she's pretty cool. But I also like the failed golden boy. The banker who was in trouble with fraud, and his mom was all bragging about how brilliant he is. And
he said, "I'll tell you after," when they were in the middle of the first game.
Right. Yeah. And so anyway, the other thing I thought was interesting was apparently they kept name checking the university that he went to that everybody was very impressed by. And it sounds like SMU. Like they kept saying SMU. And I'm like, he went to SMU? What? So I had to look it up. No, it's SNU. And apparently that's a very prestigious university in South Korea. So it wasn't that. I also thought it was interesting how you see the relationships between immigrants from North Korea who have escaped, Kim Jong-un's dictatorship and are now living like the girl.
She's from North Korea.
She escaped from a camp in North Korea, and now she's just a street person living in South Korea. But yeah, my favorite character is the failed SMU graduate who is now in trouble. But we'll see. We'll see how that goes. I don't think any of these characters, I think this is going to be like Game of Thrones. Do not get attached to any of these characters because
I thought we were going to lose the main guy in the first one.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, I
Yeah.
thought that was because, see, I'm a big Game of Thrones fan, and in the very first season, we were led to believe that the character of Ned Stark was the pivotal character in Game of Thrones, and then they killed him, and everybody was like, "What?
What?
You can't kill the star of the show?" But it turns out he wasn't the star of the show. He was just there was a bit of a straw man, if you will. Oh, you know the other character that I really like in Squid Game, who sort of develops a little bit more in the second episode, is the old man with a brain tumor with nothing to lose.
Yeah, I liked him. He's contestant number 1.
Yes, he's contestant number 1, yes. And in the opening episode titled Red Light, Green Light, they play a game of red light. This is all I'm going to give you, folks. Just going to whet your appetite. They play a game of red light, green light. The kids game where someone says green light and then you run and then they say red light. And then if you move after they say red light, like if your body twitches or something, you're eliminated and you're out. Yeah, it's a different kind of elimination in red light, green light in this game. It's crazy.
I can't, for the sake of preserving for the audience the
That's all you
rest of it, I can't go into my questioning. We'll do it. We'll do it when we get several episodes in.
Well, you're only one episode in. So you've only experienced what would be considered the exposition of the character. So any questions that and I'm not far enough along to probably answer them. So give me some of your questions.
Well, it's just like this, how they select the elimination. Like it's random, but it's not in like how they're targeted. Anyway.
Okay, so you've seen red light, green light. So you're wondering how it is that they murdered all of or chose to murder the people they chose to murder.
Right. Like
they flinched. They couldn't.
Well, yes, I get that, but the difference in who gets, hit in the head, who gets hit it's just the spots.
The aiming of the bullets, you mean?
Yeah.
Because I would, if they're going to do that to me, give me a headshot. I don't want to don't hit me in the stomach where I have to lay on the field of play, And
that was what I thought was interesting. I was like, so how are they deciding and what is, anyway, it's just.
It is very good. Highest recommendation. This is not some trendy, you're just getting on board all this stupid South Korean stuff. No, man, it's good. It's good. And it only took me about halfway through the first episode to stop wishing they would have just adapted it with American actors. Because that's what I thought. In the beginning, I'm like, if this is so great, then why didn't Paramount TV make it? Why isn't this star Ashton Kutcher? Or, you know what I mean? Why do I got to look at all of these? But it actually kind of works because I don't know, none of these, some of them are actually big stars in South Korea, but I don't recognize them. So that adds to the reality of it.
I like the scenes. Like I like the colorful room that they're in when they march out. Like I thought that was really cool. The way they had them stacked in the bunk beds and sleeping, kind of what was the facilities. Like, I thought that it was just a bunch of creative ways to organize 456 people that you had never seen done before,
Yeah. It's whoever it's a dark mind that created
and the floor. Like the floor with showing the faces and the rich guys walking up there.
Right.
And just so many things about it were just different than you've seen.
There's 456 contestants and they all have their faces. They all have to take a picture, before they enter the game. Please enter and smile. And then they take their pictures and you see all of these pictures illuminated on a floor, 456 of them.
Like the Saturday Night Fever floor with the squares, except their faces there.
Except their faces are all in the square. And as they get eliminated, their faces go dark. So, slowly there's 456. And then suddenly after the first round, they eliminated like 255. It's like, whoa.
I was like, are we going to get to number 10 with anybody left?
Yeah. I don't know. So Jeff Glenn says he's already finished Squid Game. Wow. Good on you, Jeff. When did you lose your job? Because that's a lot of time to knock out 10 shows since Friday. But no, I guess, a weekend. You don't do much on the weekend.
Tina's hooked in the chat room.
Oh, yeah. I have not. The comments on this thing in the trend is that I've not seen one person say anything but, oh, my God, this show is crazy. This show is so wild. I've already finished Squid Game. I'm currently watching OA, featuring Phyllis from The Office in a key dramatic role. Jeff, I don't know what season of OA you're watching because I think there's more than one, but I watched season 1 of OA and I thought it was really good. I don't know why I never went back to it, but OA is also a really good Netflix original. Tina says, I love the guy that saved the main guy in Red Light, Green Light. Now, was he like the Indian guy, the Pakistani guy?
Oh, at the end?
Yeah.
Where he's hanging onto him?
Yeah, during Red Light, Green Light, our main character, who we're led to believe is the main character, he gets up at red light and starts to run, but trips over the dead carcass of another player, and he's about to fall, which would mean that he would be eliminated and shot dead. But I think it was the Indian guy who reached out at the last minute and grabbed him, so he was sort of suspended in free fall. And if the Indian guy was a bad dude, he would have simply let go and let him drop, and then he would get killed, but he didn't. So I think there's more to come from that Indian character. That was obviously some character exposition on him that shows he's a good guy, and will probably develop.
And he gave away some money because the less people that are alive, the more of the share of the pot you get. So,
right, yeah. So that was, one guy gets all the money at the end, $27 million. But if there's like 50 people at the end, and there was a I was a little confused. The only thing that confused me in episode 1 was when the contestants, after half of their ranks had been eliminated, after half of them had been killed off, they challenged the moderator of the game, the person running the game. And they said, well, but section 3 of the contract we signed said that if we agree to not play anymore, then the game has to be ended. And I thought that it had to be unanimous. I thought that all of the players had to unanimously say they didn't want to play. I thought that if it was, but they didn't. And I won't tell you what happened, but obviously there's 10 episodes. So if in the first episode, there's a part where they say we're going to end the game, just know there's 9 more episodes. So the vote probably doesn't go that way.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, it's great. Squid Game is really good. I can't wait to watch the 3rd episode of it. All right, let's see what else is trending here, because that's what we do here on the show. We talk about all the things that are trending. Let me pull up the things that I have prepared here. Nothing really new is trending. YouTube is trending today. YouTube, our little home here for half of these broadcasts. We do the show each and every day, streaming on YouTube and on Facebook. Do you see what YouTube did?
I did not.
YouTube is trending today because they are being aggressive as far as the anti-vax crap. YouTube and independent amateur creators have done more over the past 5 or 6 years to confuse the general public than I think any. There is no the level of irresponsibility on the part of people who are posing as legitimate journalists, legitimate scientists, people with facts. I mean, how many of us know people, otherwise smart, rational people, who have absolutely insane points of view because of somebody they watched on YouTube, right?
Right. But isn't it kind of the platform you're allowed to go up and make your own kind of...
It is, but here in this country, we have freedom of speech and the freedom to do just about anything that we want. However, we have something called, I don't even know if it's called this, it's just always been referred to this, the fire in the theater law, which means you have freedom of speech, but you can't stand up in a crowded theater and scream fire, causing a panic. Right. I mean,
right.
That's illegal. So you can't scream fire in a crowded theater because, then people will be adversely affected by whatever it is. So that's really sort of what YouTube is leaning into today. YouTube is banning prominent anti-vaccine activists and blocking all anti-vaccine content. Now, again, we're not a very political show here. As a matter of fact, it's one of the cornerstones of what I wanted to do here. No religion, no politics, no vacation talk about things you did on vacation, and no dream talk, unless the dream is so wild that you can't help but be entertaining. But certainly no politics. And
well, you did dream talk about your inability to stop wiping, and that wasn't so like.
Oh, that was fantastic. I went there. That was a fantastic little aside. How dare you, sir? That So I
well,
struggle with this because vaccine discussion shouldn't be political. But unfortunately, we live in a time where if you drink Pepsi, you're political. If you drink Coke, you're political. You know, everything somehow seems to have, it's like a sweater where you pull on one thread and all of a sudden the whole thing is unraveling. And now you're making a political statement simply because I believe that there is a pandemic. I believe that a lot of people have died. I believe that our world has been altered in a way that I never thought possible 10 years ago. So, I mean, there are people who still deny that coronavirus is. Do you remember that? That was, I thought, early on. It's not real. This is just a way for the world government to, keep us in our houses while they put chlorine and fluoride in our whatever. I don't know.
the New World Order
Yeah.
is taking effect because of that.
Yeah. Dateline San Francisco, YouTube is taking down several video channels associated with high-profile anti-vaccine activists, including Joseph Mercola and Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Robert F. Kennedy Jr., we need to put him in a box and send him out on a barge into the middle of the ocean. I can't imagine. Robert F. Kennedy Jr., who experts say are partially responsible for helping seed the skepticism that contributed to slowing vaccine rates across the country. The problem that I have with Robert Kennedy Jr. is he's Bobby Kennedy's kid. Bobby Kennedy is an American icon. He's not Jack, but he probably would have been president. He was running away with it when he was assassinated, and they're in the Ambassador Hotel in Los Angeles back in 68, maybe. I don't know. And to have his son be one of these crazy Alex Jones type guys when it comes to vaccines, as part of the new set of policies, I mean, he's a Kennedy. That name has a responsibility. Now, look, I know that it's a divisive name, but there are certainly a lot of people who hear the name Kennedy and immediately give it a little bit more credibility of what he's saying than anybody else, right?
Yes.
I mean, it's a Kennedy. He's not, and he's not a spare Kennedy. He's not like a Kennedy cousin 3 times removed. He's the direct descendant of Robert Kennedy. His mom was Ethel Kennedy. I mean, he's a real Kennedy. If the Kennedys were a royal family, he would be.
He would be in line.
Yes, he'd be one of those top dogs. As part of a new set of policies aimed at cutting down on anti-vaccine content on the Google-owned site, YouTube will ban any videos that claim that commonly used vaccines approved by health authorities are ineffective or dangerous. The company had previously blocked videos that made those claims about coronavirus vaccines, but not ones for other vaccines, like those for measles and chickenpox. Are we doing that now? Are we now claiming that measles and chickenpox vaccines aren't real? Look, you and I are living proof of 50 years worth of those vaccines. Have you ever had the measles?
I think. Well, I know I had the chickenpox.
I had chickenpox too. Yeah.
No, I don't think I ever had measles.
I think chickenpox are like the lesser measles, though. Like the measles were a real problem in this world. There was a time when measles was just wiping people out. It was
polio. I mean,
polio,
we have the polio vaccine.
Right. Do you ever have polio?
No, because the vaccine worked.
Do you know anyone?
Nor have most people not had polio.
That's the thing. When our parents were kids, they went to school with kids who had polio. They went to school with kids who, couldn't use their legs for the rest of their life. It was really a horrible, horrible thing. And then they came up with a vaccine. And then for the last 50, 60 years, we've all been getting our polio shots. And I don't know anybody who's ever had polio. I mean, I'm no scientist, but those things seem to correlate. That when there was no vaccine, everybody was getting polio. Suddenly there is a vaccine. And I don't know anybody who's got polio.
Yeah, and now they'll say that, the anti-vaxxers will be like, oh, well, all these vaccines in some way, shape, or form are giving your kids autism. But, I mean, that's what we're dealing with.
But the autism thing, and look, I'm going to speak like a moron on this. I have 2 dear friends in Chicago. Separate families. One is a girl who I'm friends with, and the other one is a guy who I used to work with. They both have children who are autistic. Not severely. I mean, there's that's, there is a scale. They call it the spectrum. There is a scale of, Asperger's is another. I don't know if Asperger's is a part of autism, but it's certainly the same sort of affliction that kids have. Those are pretty common. I mean, now that there is a diagnosis and a way to determine whether or not children are on the spectrum, they are very common. And the anti-vaccine people seem to be saying they're more common today because of the vaccines. Whereas I don't believe that. I believe they're more common today because we now diagnose it. There weren't these diagnoses for these diseases before the 1980s. I mean,
Mhm.
the spectrum and the chart and the ability to have a kid and say, okay, he's diagnosed now as this, that is just more common because the way to do it didn't exist. But people, we used to just call them weird kids. They were the weird kid in school, the kid that was socially awkward, the kid that, didn't know how to talk to girls or said inappropriate things or would get in trouble. They were just undiagnosed on the spectrum. You see what I'm saying?
I do.
Today, we classify them because we have medical science has progressed to a point where we can now understand what these things are and how to work around them. And there are so many autists. I worked with an autistic person in sales in Chicago. They were on the spectrum or whatever. They were a perfectly normal person. And in fact, they were an incredibly effective salesperson because, part of what their thing was that they were able to really focus and drill down
Ultra
on,
focus, right?
yes, on
Mhm.
one thing. So now that we understand, yes, they might be weird in a bar talking to a girl, I mean, like a girl, oh, I met this guy. He was so weird. He asked me some really weird questions. Well, okay. So we used to just call them weird guys or odd eggs, there were terms, but they were fully functioning and in society. And we're not talking about severe autism. We're not talking about Rain Man, right? I
So
mean,
yeah, so what you're saying is you believe that
that there are more
there's
kids
the
with
same
autism.
percentage of people that are autistic
Yes.
today as there were back then. It's just today they're diagnosed, back then they weren't.
Today we have a name for it. Back then they were just the weird kid in your class, who said the inappropriate thing or would have emotional outbursts or whatever. We didn't have any way to classify. Oh, that guy's weird, man. That guy just yells stuff out in the middle of class. It's no, okay, he's not weird. This is now we know what it is. Now we know that there is something slightly different about them, but they are perfectly capable of living normal lives. And I just don't think it has anything to do with the vaccines. I think that these anti-vax people who are saying, and we're not talking about coronavirus vaccine right now. We're talking about the
Well, we're talking about coronavirus and the whole other set.
right, but I'm specific in this argument. The people who for years, the Jenny McCarthy's, the Robert Kennedy Juniors. And by the way, Jenny McCarthy, who was one of the first anti-vax people like 20 years ago because her child was autistic and she blamed it on vaccines. I think to a very large degree that if you are a parent and you have this unconditional, unwavering love for your child, no matter what,
Which
when
we would hope all parents do.
yeah, not all do, but yeah, you would hope that all parents do, right? When you have this for your child, when somebody tells you that there is something wrong with them, be it genetically or whatever, I think there is a very real, and this is the case of Jenny McCarthy, I think there's a very real reaction to want to blame something else other than you did this to your child, or your genetics did this, or maybe your husband's genetics, or the father of the child's genetics. And that's where I think it came from. I think that they started diagnosing children with these, why didn't he talk till he was 3 years old? Oh, well, he's autistic. And I think that was sort of a reflex to sort of say, it's got to be something else. And they went after measles, chicken pox, mumps, all of these boosters that we got all through school. Every year we had to get them, right? We had to
And
get.
I don't know that it's necessarily you're looking to blame somebody other than yourself. I think you are looking for something and you just may have settled on that because in your mind you believe for whatever reason that is what caused it, or you talked to a healthcare person, or you read something online and you think about something that happened or how that person reacted and that connects with you, and then that's how you kind of make a self-diagnosis. I mean, WebMD, is a great way for you to self-diagnose yourself.
Oh God.
And
yes.
you read the articles and you're like, oh, I got that, and I got that, and I got that. And then next thing you know, you're on the phone to a doctor going, yeah, I'd like to schedule myself for an appointment because I believe I got X, and then you go in there and he's like, where'd you hear that? Well,
WebMD.
That's
Facebook.
I'm glad you came in because that's not the way it works.
All right. Hey, look, fresh from a hot afternoon matinee sex session down there in New Orleans, James Parker joined. Don't roll your eyes like that.
Well, I wish the reality was as awesome as your fantasy, but no, I just had lunch with the wife. And that's not
he advertised it that you said that you were having a sexual relationship at lunch with your wife. Like it was on the calendar.
No, she was coming home for lunch. Now there was a swing and a miss involved, but I was never guaranteeing anything.
Okay.
I'm really good at those swings and misses myself.
Now, James, as we discussed last night on Pillow Talk, had it only been before 1978, you would have been able to rape your wife because remember, spousal rape was legal in this country until 1978.
Doesn't that take the fun out of it though? Like if she
yeah. Oh God, yeah. But so there was no sex
at lunch.
It was a swing and a miss.
Yeah. Okay. All right, that's all right, man. All right. We're talking.
And let me guess, you were the swinger.
Yeah.
How come it's girls never swing and miss? Like they never swing and miss.
Because she's like, hey, honey, you feel like? I'm like, yes. Like she didn't even finish the sentence.
Yeah. Tell that to my two ex-wives. My two ex-wives were the Dave Kingman of swinging and missing. They were. I told you, man.
What is your deal? Like you just exhaust the well or something? What do you do?
No. He just said he doesn't like it during the daytime. I'm like, I like it anytime I can get it. Like I don't care if it's like
I am not a sexual animal. I'm not. I'm not. I never have been. Maybe I'm low T. I don't know. Could explain my voice register. I don't know. I'm not against sex. I like to have sex. Sex is fun. Sex feels good. But I'm just not like I'm not the stereotypical guy.
You're like a woman when it comes to sex. You have to have in certain parameters, like certain day parts, like the mood and everything's got to be right.
Yeah.
Like a space shuttle launch. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. We will scrub the mission with 10 seconds left if just something goes haywire. If there is something that takes me out of the mood, I'll be like, I'm going to go watch some TV. You stay here. Here's the laptop. You finish yourself off.
Now, that is kind of toward the effeminate side of the spectrum, but do you have to have an emotional connection too?
Oh, God, no. No. Like you're talking about like one night stand. I mean, I've engaged in that. That's actually... I think a lack of emotional content. You know what? Now that I'm thinking about it, I have a lot of the sexual orientation of a serial killer. I mean, I don't want any sexual emotional attachment. I actually find it more interesting to conquer new grounds. You know what I mean?
Your diagnosis.
He in his relationships, he would enjoy having an open relationship. That's my diagnosis.
Yeah, we already talked about that. But we talked about that yesterday, that I'm all for open relationships and committed love. If I find somebody that I'm in love with and that person loves me and we decide that we want to spend the rest of our lives together, if that person cannot deal with my lack of sexual energy and she needs to go out and find somebody, I'm totally fine with that. As long as she comes back and we are still in love. You're not allowed to fall in love with anybody. And I think the rules would be you're not allowed to be with the same person twice. Yeah, no, you can't be with the same person twice because now you're building a relationship with somebody. But if they want to go out and just have safe rando sex and get it out of their system and then come home and, watch TV with me and laugh and stuff, we're good with that. I'm fine.
All right, guys. So what's trending? Guys, what's trending on the old...
It was uncomfortable for me on that horse yesterday as well.
I don't know. I don't see it. I see it.
It was Will Smith and Jada Pinkett took us there.
Yeah, I'm a very progressive guy. I think they're a very progressive couple as well. James, we're talking right now about YouTube, and I know that you've got some libertarian takes on this. YouTube is trending today for banning Robert Kennedy Jr. and a whole bunch of people who don't like vaxxes, period. This latest thing on YouTube is not necessarily exclusively due to the pandemic anti-vaxxers, but it has to do with people who misinform. Here, I'll tell you what. I'll just bring you back up to speed really quick. As part of a new set of policies aimed at cutting down on anti-vaccine content on the Google-owned site, YouTube will ban any videos that claim that commonly used vaccines approved by health authorities are ineffective or dangerous. The company previously blocked videos that made those claims about coronavirus vaccines, but not ones for other vaccines like those for measles or chickenpox. James, the libertarian who is going very low res right now. You know, Ed, our chief leader here on the Radio Misfits Network, he's very upset that you're not in HD. Yeah, that bugs him. But you know,
I look incredibly handsome on my screen.
Yeah, you're not HD
everything.
though. You're not as clear. Look at E and me, and then look at you. There's an obvious difference. Are you running 1080p HD?
Man, I don't know. I'll check my settings or something.
Yeah, you got to go into your settings. You seem to be at about 720 HD. But go ahead. You're libertarian.
I apologize to those that are seeing me in 1080.
Right.
James, any take on the YouTube banning of people who want to talk about how the measles and polio and chickenpox vaccines aren't real?
No, they shouldn't do it, but they can do it if they want to. They're a private company, and if they want to ban whatever they want to ban, they just can't lie about it.
So they shouldn't do it. So you're saying that they can because they are a private company, and that's fine if that's what they decide to do, because that jives with your libertarian values about private autonomy with corporations. But how about you don't have a problem with just people with an audience being able to say things like the polio vaccine is a hoax when nobody has seen anyone with polio in 50 years?
All right. No, I don't have a problem with that. I mean, people say obviously stupid stuff all the time. You know, people say like the Lions are going to win the Super Bowl, or the Bears are good, or
but those don't have adverse effects on the greater community. So there is no responsibility on the people who provide platforms for these people to be
not really
a nanny. I'll use the term a nanny goat. Overlooking it.
Not really. Are you going to be fooled by someone who says the polio vaccine's not real, or did you go do your own research and realize, oh yeah, the polio's been gone since my grandfather was a kid?
I think the doing your own research is how you end up with Nicki Minaj.
Oh my God, that's right. Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, where do you go to do your own research?
Dude, I can't do my own research on this stuff. This is why I default to people. This is why there are institutions like, John Hopkins Medical. And,
stop it. You can do your own research. You have the greatest research tools ever available to anyone in the history of human civilization in your freaking pocket at all times. You're not an idiot. You can take care of yourself. You can observe information in your environment and make decisions about your well-being without having to be told what to think by YouTube or some government institution.
Okay,
you can do it. I believe in you, Pugs. Emil, you too.
I appreciate that compliment that I am not of the non-idiot variety of American. Thank you very much. But what about the idiots? There are idiots out there. There are idiots out there who will hear something that they want to believe, and then they will infect the other idiots, and all of a sudden, now we've got polio back.
Well, if that's YouTube's excuse for doing it, that's fine. I don't care what their excuse for doing it is. They can do it. It's their platform. If they want to edit or censor whatever speech they want to edit or censor, they can. They can't lie about it. They can't say we're an open platform and then behind the scenes censor people, or they can't be censoring people and then when asked about it lie and say we're not censoring people. They can't commit libel, fraud, slander, just the basics of the boundaries of any freedom. But yeah, they can do it. And look, if they do it too much, if they do it and the world likes it, they'll benefit for it. If they do it and a big chunk of the marketplace would rather have an open forum like I would prefer, they'll go to competition. They'll go to, I don't know, Rumble or whatever the.
Were you going to say Parler?
Well, the first thing all this is really going to do is some guy's going to get out there. He's going to start doing his video and he's going to go, hey, everybody, before this thing gets taken down, I want to tell you that such and such and such and such is not real or is creating this, situation. And it's almost like when they lead out with, hey, before this gets taken down, it's the same way when a guy pulls you over or when you're in the parking lot and the guy comes up to you and goes, hey, can I ask you a question? And my first response is, yeah, as long as it's not you getting money. And then they don't have anything to say after that. It's here, it's like, okay, before this gets taken down, immediately it's conspiracy theory. This is what my head goes to.
Yeah, we lean far too hard into conspiracy. We're way too interested in embracing conspiracy theory. James, let me ask you a question about your staunchly libertarian point of view. We entered the YouTube. YouTube is leaning heavily on the you can't yell fire in a crowded theater sort of law. Do you think as a libertarian you should be allowed to stand up in a crowded theater and yell fire, and it's on the other people to react to that whether they believe you or not? Because
Well,
the rules,
sometimes you can yell fire in a crowded theater.
no, you can't.
Of course you
Because
can.
the idiots will start to run and they'll trample everybody. And then
No. This already went through the Supreme Court in like the 40s or something. But what if there's actually a fire and you're the first one to see it? Can you say fire in a crowded theater?
yes, that
Okay,
changes
yeah.
the entire dynamic.
Okay.
If there
So
is actually
what
a
if
fire. We're talking about when there isn't actually a fire.
I know.
and you're
Okay, but no.
simply-
Look, look, have you not been through the case? What if it's like the Halloween?
No, I
weekend?
haven't been through a 1940 Supreme Court case on this.
Well, then hang on. I can explain it for you.
Okay.
So what if it's like Halloween weekend, and just for a little bit of special effects, they have a fog machine that starts blowing in the front of the theater, and someone stands up and honestly thinking but being incorrect, they yell fire. That's still legal as well. You have to not only be incorrect, but know you're incorrect and do it with malicious intent.
Yes, that's the thing. Intent. You have to discern the intent, and that's probably the most difficult thing to do. Were they really just dumb thinking that there was a fire, or was their intent to cause mass hysteria?
Exactly. So if there's dumb people out there and they honestly think that the polio vaccine isn't real, I don't think they're convincing a lot of people. I don't think they're changing a lot of minds. And I don't think we're going to, I mean, has polio come back? I haven't really read the headlines today. All right. So they're not hurting anybody, but kind of themselves. I mean, they're not even getting polio. So, I mean, why are we wanting to squish and tighten the boundaries of speech when it seems kind of unnecessary?
Well, I mean, your argument could be, okay, why are people that are not vaccinated getting all this crap from people that are vaccinated? Because if you're not vaccinated, you're the only one who's going to get sick. And the response to that is, well, no, not really. Other people that are vaccinated can get sick, and the hospital bills and the hospital beds can still get occupied by people that are vaxxed. So I kind of fell for that argument early on where people were like, well, if I'm not vaxxed, what do you care? It's not you, it's me.
All right.
And
So
now I'm jumped on the other side.
What's the scenario under which y'all will leave me alone about it? It's kind of the libertarian, and I don't mean you two personally,
Right.
me personally. I just like the ethereal concept of what do they have to do for you to leave them alone? Get the vaccine, and that's it.
No, stop.
Yes,
I would like
I
there
think
to
we're
be-
headed there.
I would like there to
Well,
be
that's
some
unacceptable.
sort of responsibility on the part of everyone, even the rabble rousers. I wish that people could take a look at what's happening right now and go, all right, maybe it's not time for me to just try and get clicks. Maybe it's not time for me to just put shit out there that is that I don't believe in, that is only designed to, rile up the nation's Karens and Aunt Marthas. I would like some responsibility on the part of the individual, but I think we know that that's flies in the face of human nature. So that's never going to happen. People are always going to want the attention that comes with.
I mean, I always resort to it's illegal in every state not to have car insurance.
I'm sorry, say that again.
It's illegal not to have car insurance. You may not believe in it.
Right, yeah.
But you have to have car insurance.
Yeah, you also have to put a seatbelt on. I mean, that's a federal law.
I disagree with both of those laws. I'm aware they exist, but because they coerce action in some other arena doesn't mean it's right in this arena just because they've made
but I think that's where we're headed with the
but
vaccination.
there's also counter arguments to that, to where no, you don't have to have car insurance depending on what state you live in. There's a lot of people who don't own a car. There's a lot of people who
well, yeah, but if you do own a car and you want to drive it legally, you have to have car insurance.
But you don't.
All right, so let's put it this way. What if you don't have kids? If you don't have kids and you live in a neighborhood with a school, your tax dollars are still paying for other kids to go to school. What's that about?
I'm not in favor of that either. I'm
Okay,
against
so
that.
what you're saying is you don't believe that under any circumstances individual liberty should be infringed upon an idea of the greater good, right? You do not believe in the idea of the greater societal good.
Well,
If
I don't care if it's the greater good or not. They just shouldn't be infringed upon. Greater good is just a common excuse that people use, and it's the only one that actually kind of tugs at moral heartstrings, other than, hey, we need to infringe on your liberty so we can have more power and authority in the
so
civil government.
you just
That doesn't
don't
go
think
as
the
well.
greater good exists. You don't think that we need to pull together as one to form it. So you don't believe in society because that
No,
is what
no, no, I
society
didn't
is.
say any of that. I
Society is
didn't say any of that.
Yes, you did. You said you don't. Okay, so explain. You don't think
How
that there
about we privatize the greater good? There is a greater good
Oh my
outside of
God.
the halls of government.
We're privatizing the
Look,
okay, so we've privatized vaccine mandates. United Airlines is trending right now. United Airlines has, reported that 99.5% of all
yeah,
of their
well,
employees
hang on. I mean, yes
Oh,
and
no,
no.
now this one
I'm
doesn't
okay with
agree
it.
with you, so now you're totally
No,
now
no,
you
no, no. You don't even
okay.
look. I'm okay with them doing it because they're a private company, and if they want to do a vaccine mandate, that's cool. It's kind of a gray area though for airlines because they are so heavily subsidized by government, and especially in the last 2 years, and they're so heavily regulated by the FAA, and their security has been nationalized, socialized. The TSA, it used to be private. The airports would handle their own security. Now there's a government bureaucracy under the newly created Department of Homeland Security that shouldn't even exist either. So it's
I agree with you on that. I think the
okay.
Department of Homeland Security is ridiculous, but I also think Space Force is ridiculous. So, we've got a bunch of things that we're pumping money into
Yeah, and it's just
that
Army at this
sound
point.
good. What's that?
The Space Force, it is kind of so we're not gonna what are we putting troops up there?
Well, no, and also Space Force, we
Well,
already
we're
had
defending our country though, because a lot of our telecommunications and satellites that are
right.
up there.
No, we
But
get
E,
it. We
but
get it.
E, we were already doing that. We have the Army division, the Space Command division of the Army that we've had since the mid 1980s. It's the exact same thing as the Space Force. In fact, it still exists. They just rebranded it as Space Force so that people could pretend that there was a new branch of the military. But we have always had the Space Command. That has always been a thing. And now it's
Right. Well, but I think it has to progress. I mean, I think there needs to be more and more dollars going in that direction only because of the satellites that
absolutely.
are up in the
Yeah,
sky.
absolutely. There needs to be more of a commitment to
All right.
protecting our telecommunication systems and our satellites. Absolutely. Yeah, James.
Okay, so the proper way in the libertarian view for speech to be regulated is not through government. All right. All kinds of abuses have and are guaranteed to happen once you go down that road. The proper way to enforce speech codes, the greatest example is the N word. Can you say, would you be willing to say that right now?
No, absolutely not.
No.
No.
Oh, that's so weird. So can people get
Well,
fired
why
from their
is that
job?
so weird? Why
Hang
is
on,
it weird that we don't want to say that?
I'm being sarcastic.
Okay.
Okay. Can someone get fired and lose their job for it?
Yes.
Can someone be ostracized from their industry and their society and everything?
Yes.
Okay. So what government institution, law, regulation, department is making that happen? It's not.
None that
It's
I'm
It's
aware of.
moral. It's just kind of more everybody's moral code now.
Yes. So that's how you police speech through the private sector, through the private means where the people actually hold the power. You don't give it over to the politicians because once you start letting them make speech codes, then they don't have to pass a new law outlawing some speech you
Because
don't
we
like.
fixed
They just have to
racism?
change the
Because
Huh?
people don't say that people say the N word publicly more today than they probably have in 25 years.
Say it.
I am not that kind of person.
Exactly. See how your
Exactly what?
speech is policed. It's self-policed without government getting involved.
Just because I have a
Don't
moral
you
code and
prefer
a
that? Don't
decency
you
and a love
prefer
for my
you
brothers.
making? Yeah, but don't you prefer you making the decision on what words you do and don't say rather than a government diktat?
Well, of course, but you're talking about a pejorative that isn't acceptable in civilized society. We're not talking now. If government wanted to say that you can't use the word, lady anymore, that would be ridiculous, and there
What
would
about
be no
pronouns?
reason for it.
What about pronouns? Because they did that in Canada.
What do you mean pronouns? Explain that. I'm not familiar with this Canadian pronoun law.
Oh man, it's where Jordan Peterson came from. A few years back,
Yeah,
they
that guy's
wanted
a maniac. But go ahead. All right, continue.
they
We know
wanted to
he's
pass
your
a law
leader.
that would
Yeah.
fine you if you used the wrong pronouns on a trans person. If you misgendered someone, you would literally get a fine.
Well, okay, I'm gonna have to look into that, but the way you just presented it, yeah, that's madness. That's
Right.
ridiculous.
Well,
Because I am a 50-year-old man who is trying to assimilate into the wild. Look, I understand that the world changes. The world society changes as different generational cohorts come and rise to power. They have different points of view and different worldviews. So understanding that I come from a different time and that my experiences are different, I have made the choice to try and assimilate into whatever the world is becoming, because I don't want to be the old guy. I don't want to be the old guy who says the wrong thing. So I personally struggle with the pronoun thing. But if somebody, and they're always younger, somebody younger than me prefers that, I will try and be respectful of them if that's what they want, and I'll work it through.
But that's not what I'm talking about
if
at
I
all.
do it incorrectly, then I should not be fined. I should
Right.
not get in trouble for it. The effort should be rewarded, and someone should go, "That's an old guy. He's trying." That's what I want people to be like.
Right.
So,
Most people that I talk to agree that you shouldn't be able to be fined or have some sort of charges pressed against you for using the wrong pronoun. So everyone agrees that's too far, but that's what it looks like when government starts taking out little pieces of speech and saying we approve or we disapprove of this one, and we're going to be the ones who punish you accordingly. And then
that's why you want to say the N-word.
No. I'm just saying, this is what makes the YouTube situation different. At least it's not government doing it. And even if they get, like last year, they were banning videos that were throwing out the idea that the virus could have come from the Wuhan laboratory.
Yeah.
And that was banned content. And now we're not so sure. Maybe we don't know for sure either way, but they might have been wrong to do that. And that's the trouble you get into when you're a private company that starts to do these sensorial things. And if they get it wrong too much, people will watch less YouTube and their competitor will benefit, and the market will kind of take care of itself without anyone really getting all pissed about it or having to protest or having to pass a law or call their congressman or whatever. I'm not too worried about it either way.
All right. Well, there you have it. That's why YouTube is trending, because they are now taking down and banning all anti-vaccine. He makes some points. I'll put it that way. Let's move on to something a little bit lighter, a little bit more fun here. We need to cleanse the palate. How about, what else was trending? Yeah, Florida man is trending. That could be any number of things. Certainly Brian Laundrie fits that description these days, but this is not a Brian Laundrie story. Florida man is trending. Look, can I tell you something? This is something that irks me. My former partner, Kelly, and I, about 25 years ago in Chicago, started doing a daily bit that we termed Floridians, because we noticed in the early days of the internet, when we were searching for stories, the absolute craziest stories always seemed to come. Florida, Arizona, and Ohio is another good one. But really, head and tails leading the pack was Florida. So we created this Floridians segment, and years later, we brought it to Dallas, and it was a regular staple of our show. But when we left Chicago, when we left the market in Chicago for Dallas, another radio show with a much larger platform and a much larger influence base started flat out doing a segment called Floridians, even though it was ours. And look, I'm not complaining like, taking money on my pocket, because that's not how this works. We didn't own it. Maybe it was fairly reasonable to come up with that clever name for all the silliness that occurs in Florida, but it always bothered me. And now here we are 30 years later, and Florida man trends all the time on Twitter. Everybody now is acknowledged. I would like to plant my flag and say that I was the first person in media in a major market to determine, me and Kelly, that Florida people were idiots. Thus, we coined the phrase Floridians. But Florida man is trending. You want to know why?
Yes.
This is a good one. This is a Florida. This is not all heroes wear capes. That's all I'm going to say about it. Let's watch this Florida man. Let's see what he's getting into. Oh, boy. It's one of our famous video segments here. All right. Let's see what's going on here, shall we? All right. Can we see that? What are we looking at there? All right. We'll start it over from the beginning. All right. So here's what we got here with Florida man. Oh, it's not playing. All right. So you see that? That's an alligator on somebody's lawn in Florida, right?
Yep.
Is it sharing? I just want to make sure, because I'm not on that page.
All
right. So go ahead, James.
We see it.
Okay. So we got the alligator, and it's a big alligator too. This is, I don't understand why people live in places that have these kinds of things crawling around their neighborhood, but okay, whatever. All right, so we got an alligator, and we got what appears to be like a recycle bin or a trash bin, right? You see, it's got the lid right
if
up
I
there.
were an alligator and I were hungry, that might be where I'd be headed.
Yeah.
First place.
So let's see what's going on here and prepare to be impressed. Okay. Old dude is trying to catch the alligator in his yard in the garbage can. Let's see how this works out for him.
I think it'll go fine.
Is that what you're going to? Okay. So, okay. This is a betting opportunity. Let's open up the betting parlor here. James, how do you think this is going to go? Who's going to win? The alligator or the dude trying to trap the alligator with a garbage can? Who's going to win?
I think Florida man's going to win.
Florida man's going to win. E, how about you? Who's going to win here? The alligator or the man trying to trap the alligator in his garbage can?
I will admit, now that I see his technique, I might be the guy behind the garbage can. Like I think I feel like I'm in a safe spot at this point.
Hell no. I don't go outside for a month if I see this in my driveway. I call Fish and Game.
No, you just go and shoot it.
Oh, no, I don't. No.
I don't know that I would have started out with this like as a thought process as to how to capture him. But now that I've because I thought it was just a trash can there. Now that I see it's tumped over this way and he's behind it and you got this big open receptacle area in front of it, like I might be advancing the ball down the field the way he is.
Okay, so you both think that Florida man is going to be victorious here.
I don't know the victorious. I just don't see him getting hurt. Like I think this is worth a shot.
Then that's victorious because he's either going to lose an arm and get mauled and run off, or he will successfully contain the animal, contain the beast. Here we go. Let's see how this plays.
I believe in you, Florida man.
Let me know. Somebody let me know the head. Yeah, I got you. Yeah.
So he's relying on his buddies to let him know where the head is at. Ooh!
He did it!
Now this I don't know that I would do.
Hell yeah!
Whoa, man, I gotta tell you, these TikTok challenges are getting out of control.
There you go.
Watch this be a trend on TikTok where they all try and catch alligators.
What would the Game and Wildlife Department done other than put it in a bag and then throw it in the box?
Extended applause from the audience.
That
The
guy's a
audience
boss.
is just loving that.
And look, I know he's from Florida, but that is the first time I've seen a brother handle an alligator under any circumstances.
Right? I have to admit as well, as I was watching, I mean, I expected some Cletus type, who probably, I don't know that the hero in question that we just witnessed has any experience with alligators. But damn, if he didn't pull that off. I mean, that was really
you could
impressive.
see it happening though. Like it looked like he was in a good spot. Alligator was backing up.
The magic part was the flap, and the timing on the flap had to be perfect. He had to nail it, and he did.
Spectacular. You're right. But also, I will say this in regards to the flap. I don't know that was skill, precision, timing on dude's part, or if he just got lucky. Because as soon as that flap hit the alligator's head, the alligator didn't retreat backwards quickly. The alligator did exactly what he was hoping. He ran into the dark hole. And that was
I think he caught the alligator off guard. Like he got whacked from another part. And like he was like, okay, what am I dealing with here? But I don't know that I would have tumped. Like I thought it could have went wrong when he tumped it up like that.
Yeah, I wouldn't do that. What if the alligator rights itself and then you're pulling it back up and he's like, it comes out. No way, man.
Flap garden. The flap. It's almost like Florida trash cans are designed to catch alligators because the flap would have prevented that.
Well, but if the alligator, so when he pulled the trash can up, right, the alligator was upside down because the alligator went in. Yeah. No, right? Though, but the alligator went in head first. I don't know about the agility of an alligator. Can an alligator being upside down, can it right itself quickly in a small space? And if that were the case, how strong is the lid and how strong is an alligator? Could an alligator pop that lid right back up? And would you want to have your hands on the lid while he was in Iowa, man.
Nah.
No, thank you. I would
I
not.
guarantee you that guy is the hero in his neighborhood, though.
Oh,
Like, people are going, I ain't gonna mess with that guy.
Can we watch it one more time? Do you want to watch it one more time? I want to watch that one more time. I want to just see the precision. One more time. Let's go one more. Here we go. All right. So here, Florida man.
See, once you've been, I don't know if he's from Florida, but once you've been there, you develop a certain set of skills. You get skills like Liam Neeson in Taken, and part of it is dealing with many dinosaurs like this.
Oh man. I don't know. Look, where I came from in Chicago, we were on a wetland preserve. And if it was in Florida, it'd probably be filled with alligators. But as it is, it was filled with turtles, eagles, and falcons. And so, those were the predators that we had to worry about. And you don't really worry about them. We had coyotes, and the coyotes we'd put out food for the coyotes, which you're definitely not supposed to do. But I like the idea that the coyotes would come right up into our backyard and start eating. And then we got a lot of good pictures. But that's about it. But even when the coyotes were out, I wouldn't go within 10 yards of them. And there was always a fence between me and them. I could not imagine living in a world where if you had to walk out your front door, you had to look for alligators. And at what point do you just take that for granted where you no longer look for alligators? And then one day you get surprised like this guy. I don't know, man. I couldn't live that way. I would. Oof.
Well, they have canals in Florida, so these alligators make their way into neighborhoods that you wouldn't normally think you're going to get one.
Oh, I have friends who live in Wisconsin, and Wisconsin is basically, like Wyoming. It's, anything that's that close to the Canadian border. And they have bears and wolves. And I remember a story, my friend's wife, she didn't go to work for an entire day because there were a bunch of bears in the front yard and she wouldn't leave the house. And I was like, well, of course, if she just had gone out, or if she had, because they have these horns, these air horns that they keep in the,
okay.
And so if there's a bear in the front yard, you open the front door real quick, hit the horn, and the bear will run away. But I totally understood why she didn't go to work that day. I'd be like, no way. Even if I don't see the damn bear, if I've got 10, 15 yards to walk to my car, no way I'm trusting that bear isn't good at camouflaging itself. Like the bear isn't in the bushes, right? No way. So bears are scary, but alligators are even more scary. All right, here we go. I had a close encounter with a bear once. Story for another time. An actual bear, not a Chicago bear.
Hey, let me know when they ain't going inside. Let me know.
So here,
Somebody let me know when the hand
man, this dude is large and in charge. He's barking out orders. He's got a strategy. It's in. All right. And I would think that's a little early with the lid. Look at it now. Reacting the way he wanted. In there. And dude is wearing sandals. Seriously though, how popular is that dude in his neighborhood?
Yeah, it was like the right spot that it hit it like on the back of the head, and like kind of like pissed it off, and then it ran forward.
Amazing. All right,
I wouldn't I would be more likely to do that with a gator. If there was a snake all coiled up, I'd be gone. I'd be out the driveway.
No way. What did you have in Buffalo? Did you have anything in Buffalo that was scary?
No. Like northern pike.
Yeah, that's not really
something in the river.
That's not scary.
Yeah, there's nothing. I mean, there are black bears, but occasionally you would see one, but they would normally be hanging out at the dumps.
I just don't
somewhere
understand.
where they could get some kind of food. But
Yeah,
yeah,
so-
there's nothing in Buffalo, New York that's really dangerous.
In Florida, it is a 3rd-degree felony to kill or even injure a wild alligator. The only way you're allowed to kill them is if they are attacking another human being. And so this includes your pet. If alligator is attacking your dog, you cannot kill the alligator.
Weren't you the guy that suggested you just shoot it dead? Wasn't it your initial reaction? Go
Yeah,
get
but
your
you
gun
have
and
to
shoot
you have to
that?
do the South Park rule where you yell, "It's coming right for us." And
Oh,
then
there you go. You felt threatened, and therefore,
he
well,
almost
look,
killed me. Jesus.
I'm telling you, just an alligator being on my property, I feel threatened. So I
Yeah,
would
that's
feel
good enough. That's
justified to
enough
do
of a
it.
threat. Would I have to wait until he's already chewed my leg off? Nah,
Does
I'm
the
shooting
does
him.
the castle domain law apply to wild animals the
I
way it
think
does
it
to
should. If it
yeah,
doesn't, it should. My
burglar?
question is, he gets to keep him, right? Because I would like that's some good meat on the tail. Have you ever eaten alligator tail?
Is that what you eat? You eat the tail?
Yeah, it kind of tastes like a pig. Kind of tastes
Well,
like.
you have really been in Louisiana for a while.
Oh, I ate alligator when I lived in Texas. I try
Oh,
and eat as many animals as possible.
well, you're from East Texas, so you
Mhm.
got alligators in that part of Texas?
Nah, not really. I mean,
So
some of
how
them
do
show up.
you get that meat? Is it raised on a farm? Is that how they're allowed to kill them?
Some of them are, and like when you see the reality show, it's almost a documentary, Swamp People, they have alligator season where some people who get their licenses from the state, the Wildlife and Fisheries Commission, they get tags and then go out and kill X number of wild alligators, and they have to do it within like a 1 month span. And so I don't. Did you never see Swamp People? Because that's the whole premise. Is these guys they
No.
have like 1 month to go get as many alligators as they possibly can, and that'll feed their entire family for a year.
Yeah, nah. I never watch. I don't watch those kinds of shows. I mean, I understand their appeal, but it's just not for me. All right, here we got one more alligator. This is also streaming or trending with the Florida man. When you click on the Florida man trend and you see that video, this video is also being shared. Another encounter in Florida with an alligator. Let's see how this one turns out. Okay, so this one here, we got a woman. She's in what looks to be a kayak. It's some kind. Is it shared? Can you see it? Because I'm not on.
Uh-huh.
All right, so you see the alligator right there in the water. This woman is like, she's not even in a boat. Like she seems to be in one of those kayaks.
No, I've seen this. She's on a paddle board. Even worse.
Is that
Even
what
worse.
it is?
It's a paddle board.
So you've seen this one before?
Yes.
Man, I don't know that I could do. Let's watch. Let's watch what this lady does when she has her close encounter with an alligator. Here
Oh
we
yeah,
go.
I'd freak.
What are you doing? Get away from me. Get away from me.
Oh, that's working.
Oh. Go away. Oh my God. I had to push him away with my paddle.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, so here's my take on this one. First of all, he seems like a very nice alligator. He does not seem to be looking to eat her. Even after she whacks him with the boat oar and he gives her the alligator, he just kind of moves away. That alligator must have just eaten, right? That was not a hungry alligator.
I don't know. I think you have like a Disney perception of nature because that looked like one of Jesus's perfect killing machines.
Well,
To
yeah,
me.
he
No, he
did.
didn't look that mean. He looked kind of
Well, no,
nice.
no,
Like,
no.
you
Look,
come up and start singing you a song or something. No, he's there to eat your guts from the inside out.
but
Okay.
he wasn't being aggressive. How about that? He was just kind of. He looked like maybe he was just like he had a full belly and he was interested in what this was. I wasn't sure if he wanted to eat it. You know, kind of like when you make your third trip to the buffet at Old Country. You know, where you're like you're not sure that you want more, but you're going to check out the chocolate fountain. Maybe you won't get anything, but who knows? That's what that alligator seemed to have the mindset of.
I'm glad that it ended the way that it did, but how nuts do you have to be talking to the alligator? No, go away, go away. And then instead of paddling yourself away, you use the paddle to provoke the gator?
No, she pushed him away. It
Pushed
worked.
away. That was a
Well, wouldn't
self-defense
that
move.
provoke it? Like,
It didn't.
I know, but I mean, I'm just amazed.
She was lucky. Yeah.
Like,
you know,
if she would have ended up dead, people would have said, well, that's kind of what you get for talking to an alligator as they're en route to you. And then you take your paddle and instead of using it to paddle your paddleboard away, you push the gator with the paddle.
so what would you have done? I mean,
I'd have
first of
been
all,
paddling my ass off and not talking to the gator at all.
oh, I don't know. I understand her being frozen and not wanting to make any sudden moves. I mean, I kind of get that. You know, we've been taught. You know, we used to go up to, as I said, Wisconsin, bear country, where you know you're taught that if the bear First thing you do when a bear shows up is you make yourself as big as possible. And if that doesn't, which means you stand up as straight as you can, you put your arms out, and maybe you just you start making real guttural noises. And the initial thing is to hope that the animal runs away from that. But then if it doesn't run away and it rises to your challenge, at that point, you're supposed to do the opposite and make yourself as small as possible and tuck yourself into a ball and tick your head behind you. So, because at that point, it means that the bear is going to charge. You can't outrun a bear, and I can't imagine you could out paddle an alligator. If you start to freak out and that alligator decides that you're a threat now because you're making actions that it's not calm and controlled, that it might infuriate the alligator more. I thought she was incredibly composed. I would certainly not have been, hey, Mr. Alligator, get out of here. Oh, no, get out of here. I mean, I've reacted worse to, dogs that get out of people's yards.
Composed or crazy.
Oh,
I couldn't do that. Like
I would have done
been on the paddleboard in there to begin with, though.
Where I would have done the Daffy Duck thing, where he just goes and then runs on top of the water to the nearest bank.
He just said it. I would never have been in that situation in the first place. On a kayak in an alligator-infested swamp. Where's Joe Rogan? Is this Fear Factor? What's going on here? This is not something I do.
Have you seen the cottonmouse? Like, cottonmouse will just kind of come. Like, I would think they'd want to land up and sun themselves on my board. I'd be out of there.
Yeah, no. And then, is he the only one? Is there another one behind me while I'm staring on this one? You know what I mean? Does he have a friend that's circling back? I did enjoy the guy on the loudspeaker who was like, ma'am, I would suggest you move back since you've just angered it. She poked it, but he went away. So whatever it was that she did seemed to have worked.
I don't know.
All right.
Incredibly brave, that woman.
A lot of alligator things trending. All right. Also trending today. I don't like this. This started trending yesterday, boy. Yesterday during Pillow Talk at about 11 o'clock, 1 hour into our Pillow Talk show, my text started going off like crazy with all of my friends in Chicago because Arlington Heights has been trending on all the platforms since about 11 o'clock last night. And this is a bit personal for me. It's because
I know what you're
Arlington Track. You're a horseman. You know
Arlington Park.
Arlington Park in Arlington Heights, Illinois, which is, oddly enough, Arlington Heights to Chicago is what Arlington, Texas is to Dallas. It's a suburb that is not convenient, but certainly not, horribly far away. And it has a whole bunch of entertainment stuff, like people go out there. And so the Arlington Park horse track, because of the online betting and all of that, has been closed down. And now they're just going to open a casino or betting parlors. By the way, Churchill
I'm sad to see that. Yeah, I'm sad to see that go. I actually won a stake race at Arlington Park in July 4th of 2000. I won the Stars and Stripes Stakes.
That is Arlington Park, for me, is the only truly high-end horse racing event I've been to. I told stories about how I went to like the harness racing with my grandpa and all his degenerate friends back when I was little. But I've been twice to what is known as the Arlington Million, which isn't a Triple Crown race, but it was,
it's the $1 million purse. That was a big time race, a grade 1 event.
Yeah, it was a big event, and that I remember looking at that structure and just thinking, wow, this is really a beautiful I mean, if this is what Churchill Downs looks like, or Pimlico, or Belmont, or any of the other known racetracks, I'm like, this is a pretty good one. This is a really beautiful place. So it's closing down, and the land that it sits on has now been, the Chicago Bears have made a purchase order to buy the land in the hopes of building a brand new stadium. The city of Chicago is saying, look, we just renovated Soldier Field, and Soldier Field is a war memorial, so we're not going to tear that down. You can't tear down something that's dedicated to the soldiers of World War I.
Yikes, right.
So that's going to stay there on the lakefront. But the problem is that property there on the lakefront is perfect for everything the Chicago Bears want to do. They don't want to necessarily become like, all the other cities where the sports teams over time have gravitated to more lucrative real estate deals out in the suburbs. I mean, my big problem with Dallas has always been that aside from, thank God that Cuban and Hicks decided to build the American Airlines Center in downtown Dallas. I mean, that truly revitalized that part of downtown Dallas. People go to games, and there's something cool about traveling to a major city, staying in a hotel in the major city, and being a short cab ride, Uber ride, or even a walking distance from. I mean, that's one of the things that I love about the Staples Center in LA. I love that it's right there in downtown LA. So the Chicago Bears have made a purchase agreement to move out of Soldier Field and build a brand new stadium out there on the site of what is Arlington Park in Arlington Heights, Illinois, and people are losing their shit over it. And I guess this is the way the world changes. There has always been some semblance of pride among Chicago sports fans, of which I consider myself one, that even though New York, LA, Boston, I mean, the Patriots play in Foxborough, even though all of the other major cities and Dallas, known as the Great American Sports Towns, even though all the other cities have built stadiums outside of the city proper, Chicago still has all of their sports teams in the city of Chicago in different neighborhoods. And the showpiece of that was the Bears playing on the lakefront right in the middle of downtown Chicago. It looked good on television. It was always good for the rejoins. But I'm a little bit conflicted. I'm like, if this is how it's going, then this is how it's going. And maybe we just need to give it up. Chicago is the last major American sports city to have all of their teams, and it looks like our NFL team is moving out to the suburbs.
Yeah, and for the chat room, it was Hicks, Perot, and Cuban.
Perot was involved.
Yeah, Perot was also involved.
But I think of it just as Hicks and Cuban because of the Stars and the Mavericks. But
it was the three of them. But who else plays at Soldier Field?
The soccer team, Notre Dame. They do the
Notre Dame only plays occasionally there.
Yeah, well, but it's a lease for the next 20 years. It's the Shamrock Series that's played there. So
who do they play there?
This just last weekend they played Wisconsin there, but typically they'll play Northwestern, which is a school that is just outside of Chicago. So it's a big like alumni kind of series and stuff. Okay. They do major concerts there. Like BTS, the Korean boy band.
You're just going to lose 8. 9?
Yeah, 8 home games, the home of the Bears. But again, there's something romantic. And I don't mean to be a pussy, but there is something romantic about the establishing shots on national broadcasts of Bears games where they show the boats in the harbor that is right off the parking lot where the tailgating goes on. And they show the skyline. Here in Dallas, it makes me sick that the establishing shot that they show for Dallas Cowboys sign is always those stupid gold horses in Irving. the gold horses statue
out in Las Colinas.
Yeah, Las Colinas. And every time they see that, I'm like, that's like 15 miles away from the stadium. You're making people think that that's like right there on the grounds. Now, lately, with the incredible look, it's Arlington, Texas now, with all the stadiums and all the stuff that's gone up around AT&T. They don't do that anymore. But when it was Texas Stadium, when it was just a team that played in the medium of 114,
they go to Williams Square in Las Colinas and shoot those horses, the Mustangs.
They don't use Dallas. Like they won't show you a blimp shot of Dallas and then zoom in on. Like it was cool. It was cool because it was one shot. You could see the Sears Tower, the Hancock, and if it was a particularly beautiful fall day, you had these great visuals. And then you just pan down to this stadium that was right there on the lakefront. It seemed like it was Chicago. And people are like, "Well, they're going to call it the Arlington Bears now?" No, shut up, stupid. They don't call them the Arlington Cowboys. They're not called the Arlington Rangers. It'll still be the Chicago Bears, but
like to me, and I'm not from Chicago. Soldier Field, when they redid it, it's probably one of the more odd-looking stadiums.
Yeah, because they couldn't take out the facade, which is a war memorial to World War I veterans. The columns,
So it's like where World War I met Star Wars. Like that seems to be the merge of those two looks.
It is commonly described as appearing as if a UFO has landed on top of Soldier Field. Because at the base, you still have what is the oldest stadium in the NFL. You still have the facade of the old Soldier Field, but now there's this crazy modern bowl that sits on top of it. And I will say this. When I first saw it, I absolutely hated it. But Soldier Field was awful. Soldier Field in
Was it?
19 What's that?
Soldier Field was awful.
In 1995, well, they made the changes, I want to say in 2002 or something. But for the last 20 years of Soldier Field, there was no money put into it. It was bad.
It was a rock pile.
It was a rock pile. It looked cool from the outside, but if you tried to use a bathroom, I mean, there was urine streaming down the steps because the plumbing was 100 years old. I mean, it was just awful. And the players didn't want to play there because the locker rooms were tiny. There were no modern facilities. So when they made the changes, we all went, yeah, okay, it's important to make the changes. At least they're going to stay on the lakefront. And then everybody complained about how ugly the new stadium was, how perfect Soldier Field was, totally forgetting about how awful Soldier Field was. But it was perfect before, and look what they've done. They've ruined it. With that said, I do not know one Chicagoan who hasn't been to that stadium and gone, oh no, it's awesome though. I mean, the inside, yeah, it's ugly from the outside, but when you get inside, I mean, it's got all of the amenities, which is something that people who go to Wrigley Field or the old Soldier Field simply are not used to. I mean, we're spoiled here in Dallas. We've got the absolute best in modern amenities at all of our stadiums. But in Chicago, that wasn't the case. Wrigley Field sucks. I mean, granted, I'm not a Cub fan, and it looks pretty from the outside, and everybody likes to visit there. But as far as having to see and watch a game, it sucks. That place was built during the Civil War. I mean, it's not when you're used to comfortable chairs and escalators, and it's just ramps, and you pee in a trough. You know what a trough is? You ever peed in a trough at a stadium?
Of course. Who hasn't been to a stadium and peed in a trough?
Not in 20 years. They're in a stadium. Wrigley Field is probably the only stadium left where you still pee in a trough. That's absolutely.
I don't even know why they've gotten rid of those. Seems to me to be like a lot less expensive way of doing it.
Well, because the plumbing doesn't work, and then by third quarter, you've got 2 feet of urine in there.
Oh,
yes, and then it spills over.
I don't want to share a bathroom with dudes.
Yeah, exactly. So look, I like the bathrooms. I like urinals. I like clean urinals with a divider. That's really all I want. I need a divider. Don't cheap out on me. Don't just stick urinals up against the wall. I want to be able to not have to make eye contact with the person next to me. Maybe give me a little advertisement right there above the urinal, something I can read, something I can concentrate on. If it's video, that's even better. That's it's good for me.
Amen.
All right, that's it. So that's why Arlington Heights. We're running out of time here. As a matter of fact, we are out of time. Let me just refresh and see if anything new has happened here.
Oh, nothing happened.
Well, typically I would agree with you, but there are times when as soon as we sign off here, I go in the next room and then something big has just popped up that I wanted to opine on. But okay, National Coffee Day. Happy National Coffee Day. You can get free coffee and stuff with the Starbucks app. Dunkin' Donuts, Krispy Kreme, McDonald's. If you have the apps for any of those, are offering free coffee.
James, are you going to be watching Squid Games?
Oh, I guess I do have to watch that. My wife started watching that, so maybe I'll catch up with her.
Yeah. I ripped through 2 episodes last night after the show. It's excellent. It's so cool. It's very good. I think you'll enjoy it. I think, yeah. You've got a teeny, you're not, but if there were genetic makeups that serial killers have, you've got a little bit of that serial killer, I think, somewhere in you. Not that you ever could, because it's not more than maybe 0.5% of your DNA.
No, it's under control. The killer means under control.
Absolutely. You could, if a couple of things had gone differently, you might have been a guy who rode the rails and murdered hobos. That's just what I'm trying to get at. But your life did not go that way, and you turned out to be a productive member of society.
The only thing that stops evil men who are intent on violence is a good man who is intent on violence and just a little bit better at it.
That's a good way of looking at it.
And on that, we're going to end today's high noon edition of Pugs and Company on the Radio Misfits Network. Join us back. We'll circle around at 10 o'clock tonight. We'll do a little bit more for you.
Still no news on the lesbian killers?
No news on the lesbian killers. None. But But however, thanks to my friend Leslie, who hangs out in the chat room and pays attention, she has hipped me to a new story that is very interesting. And we were going to talk about it last night, but I guess we got away from it. I might bring it up today on the Pillow Talk. It's happening in southern Missouri, Dallas County, Missouri, which is sort of located between Springfield, Missouri. And you can wait. We're wrapping it up. You don't.
No, Leslie.
No, he's
said
waving to
while I was
Leslie.
waving.
Him and
Oh,
Leslie
okay.
got
He
off
was
on a
referenced
bad
there,
foot
so.
last night. They're making up today.
All right. Adam Reyna says Wrigley is great if you have a good ticket. No, it's not. It's not good if you're driving. It's not. There's nowhere to park. Stop it. The Superior Stadium in Chicago is obviously on the south side, even though we all romanticize Wrigley. What was I saying? What was I talking about?
And Leslie.
The new story. Yes. Leslie
news.
told me. Leslie says it's developing now. So she told me there is this girl who has she's a woman. I believe she's in her 20s, but she has been missing for 2 months. And these two over the road truckers have been taken into custody. They like kept her in a cage in their house, and they would take pictures, and they were raping her and doing all kinds of horrible things to her, and then showing people the pictures on their phones. And so now they're both in custody, but nobody can find this girl. They don't know where she is. And one of the dudes is like, she was just a roommate who chose to live in a cave or cage.
Why is it not on the national media picking it up yet? It's so new.
Because she's not pretty.
Oh.
I hate to be so callous, but I'm reading this story going, oh my God, this is a fascinating story. And I'm like, oh, but she's not a beautiful, pristine little girl next door like Gabby Petito, right? I mean, that's probably why. But it certainly deserves to be on whatever. And I don't mean to say she's not pretty. That's not true, because she's perfectly fine looking. But she's not, she doesn't look like Reese Witherspoon. She doesn't look like Kirsten Dunst the way Gabby Petito did. She's an older woman. And that's the other thing. Gabby Petito everyone's framing her as a child. She was 22 years old. That's not a child by any legal definition anywhere. But because she was small and 95 pounds. So maybe we'll bring this story up.
What's her name?
Rainwater is Amber Rainwater. Leslie, maybe you would know if you hear this in the next couple of seconds. Her last name is Rainwater.
I'm just going to Google search Rainwater.
Yeah.
Let's just cover this tonight. We got to go.
Yeah. We'll do it tonight. All right. Thanks, everybody. We'll be back. We'll talk about it tonight. And plus a whole bunch of other things on the Pillow Talk edition. Thank you to James Parker down there in New Orleans. Thank you to the artist over there in the big house here at the One Percenter Compound. I am Pugs Moran. This has been Pugs and Company, the High Noon edition on the radio. Misfits